Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to the Yes and the Unicorn Show. No, it's not really called that. But thank you so much for coming to visit tonight. I just am going to do a quick, like, live because I can. That's the whole point. I was watching something earlier about just like content creation, and I just decided I'm going to create some content because that's what I'm trying to do more of. So you're going to see a lot more of these lives, me just talking about the things that I'm passionate about, mostly related to like planning and productivity and things like that. Tonight, as you can see by the title and the thumbnail that you clicked on, I really want to talk about writing things down, which I've talked about in previous videos, but tonight I really wanted to take a different turn because can I just be honest? And this is the thing that I don't know if a lot of people are talking about this, but I'm just going to be honest about cognitive decline. Okay, let's get real. So grab a beverage or whatever and let's talk about it. Recently I've been using AI a lot, right? Like I want to say like recently meaning like the beginning of this year. I started using AI, I think, a long time before we even thought we were using AI, we were using AI. Okay? So there's that. But yes, your chat is visible. Welcome. Thank you. I can see your chat. Black Cloak Wolf 05. Thank you for joining. We're just going to talk about why writing things down is important, and especially in this age of AI. So I was saying that, I started using AI a few years ago, whenever it started being mainstream, but I think we were probably using AI before that, or AI was using us. Um, and there's just different things like, our home devices, our smart devices. There's a lot that AI does, but when the large language models were introduced on a widespread scale a couple of years ago, which I can't even believe it's been a couple of years. I think it was like formally introduced in like I don't know if it was 2023. I don't remember, but since then I've been using it. Um, I've been using it. I'm in. I don't know where I'm going live. Whatever was hooked up to my StreamYard. Um, but anyway, here's where we are. I was using it to do just a number of things like with work and with the content and things like that. And before I started like using it heavily, at first I was kind of using it just here and there sporadically. Then I started using it the way I use Google, and I started to like the results that I was getting better than the Google results I was getting, right? Because Google, I still use Google actually, but now Google has that element of AI added in where it kind of summarizes the answers to your questions. And so you really have to like scroll down and search to find sort of like what you would have typically found before AI was so popular. Well, I'm bringing this up because now I'm full on using AI for a lot of things, and it hasn't replaced my thinking, but in a lot of ways, I've used it as a thought partner. And so I've noticed a few changes in myself, just the way I'm just going to name a couple of things, and I don't know if other people can relate to this, but I'm just going to go ahead and be honest because I don't hear a lot of people saying the things that I'm about to say, but I wonder if I'm the only one. So, okay, the first thing that I'm noticing after using it so heavily is that I am having like if we were this is something I said to one of my coworkers. If the internet was the information superhighway, then we are now Tokyo drifting. And so I find that all of these thoughts are like bombarding, and they are fleeting, and we are just going so fast on this thought train. So I'll have like one screen open with one AI, and I'll have another screen open with another AI, and I'm having the AIs talk to the AIs, and I'm having this going on over here, this going on over there. I'm noticing that especially when work is concerned, I'm having to stop and capture like the link to whatever chat I'm in, whatever AI chat I'm in, so that I can come back to it and like refine what I'm working on. Because otherwise, I could spend like up to 5 or 6 minutes trying to figure out where I was having this conversation, like which AI tool I was using to have this one conversation that I had like 3 months ago type of thing. It's like, whoa, like we're thinking so fast and we're thinking so deeply, right? that it's almost, I don't want to say it's dangerous, right? Like, 'cause I'm not just trying to be weird here, but it's happening so fast, and so I just don't remember where I had which conversation, so I'm having to like stop myself, copy and paste the link, and I have like a little document or that I'm keeping some things. Actually, I turned it into a spreadsheet because there were so many different categories of things. So there's like this idea, like, where did I talk about that? Which tool was I using? Was that a human conversation? Was that a AI conversation? Was that my idea? Was that AI's idea? What do I need to verify? It's like all these things that are happening while I'm having the thought. So I could be in the middle of a search and be having like 4 or 5 thoughts internally. And it's like a real trip. The other thing that I'm noticing is that um, I, I'm going to answer some of these questions. This person is asking some really good questions. The other thing I'm noticing though is that I feel like I could see some early stages, very, very early stages. I'm not, ready to claim that AI is ruining everything because it's not. It's actually really helping, but I'm seeing some early stages of what might be cognitive decline, like very simple stuff. Like I don't. Sometimes I'll be in a conversation with somebody and I can't remember the word that's like right on the tip of my tongue, or I'll be talking about something and like and I can't remember what it's called. Like I'll be looking at eggs and I'll be like, the thing, the thing. And I can't even remember what the word is, but it's an egg, it's right in front of me. Or I'll have these competing thoughts. So like I described how quickly the thinking goes with using AI, but like sometimes I'll have a thought on top of a thought and be pregnant with another thought that's related to the second thought, but then I got to think out the third thought before I can get to that. And it's like, okay, slow down. So like the AI is making my brain go faster than it normally would. And I don't think that that's like bad, but imagine that, okay, this is a little, this right here that I'm about to say might, be somewhat controversial, but imagine that like somehow the billions of dollars that are being invested in AI is like a bad business deal or something. And then a year from now, all the AI tools that we're enjoying for like free or $20 a month become $99 a month or $300 a month because the business just didn't work out. And so some companies crash, some things aren't available, and like we've gotten used to using these tools, but now we don't have access to them anymore. We've decided like, no, we're not doing that anymore. So like that's one of the things I think about, because the way that I'm thinking is changing. Like I'm adapting to this sort of faster way of thinking and brainstorming and building on thoughts. And so that's something that kind of gives me pause because I'm like, okay, what if the business isn't sustainable and I'm like changing the way that I'm thinking to adapt to these tools? No, I'm not going to stop, right? Because the tools are available now and we're just going to have to go through this and see where we end up. But these are things that like that are on my mind. And when I think about like, okay, I'll go back to the cognitive decline thing. I'm not saying that I'm, getting dumber or anything like that, but I'm saying that like when I started to realize like, and maybe this was like maybe 2 months ago or a month and a half ago or something, where I started to realize like, okay, I'm starting to see some effects that I don't ever remember having, like the name thing, the idea thing, the trying to figure out where things are, having to stop and copy links just so I can get back to the thought. There was something else that was happening to me too, where I was like, it'll come back to me. But there are just like some little tiny little signs that I'm like, okay, I want to make sure that I'm not overlooking something that could be long-term detrimental. So then one of the things I used to do before AI was so popular, um, is I would make these mind maps. I'd sit down and I'd plan something out and I'm like making a mind map and there's an idea popping off of one idea. And so it's kind of like what AI does, but it was slower and my brain could keep up. And I could write out like, okay, this thing could happen, or this is a possibility, or here's an idea connected to that. And I'm just kind of like letting my hand and my brain is like function together, speak with one another. And I stopped doing that in the past couple, like I'll do it sometimes, but I stopped doing it as much as I was doing it. And I've replaced it with the thinking with AI. And I realized that like I don't really want to do that. I want to use AI and I want to keep my cognitive function intact to where if AI were to go away or something, like I would be totally fine. So that's when I started really like intentionally like taking the time to write things down. Things so simple like um if I have like 14 tabs open, which normally I have more than that because I got a window and then there's to 10 tabs open on one window. And then I have another window and there's like 12 tabs open on that window. And then I have another window and then there's 12 tabs open on that window. So, and I know I'm not the only one here. So I literally have like, sometimes 40 tabs up at once. And I'm like, I don't want to close anything because I'm in the middle of so much. Right. So when I do that though, when I find myself in a space where I'm saying like, I don't want to close any tabs, I literally will take out a stack of index cards because I'm like an index card girl. And I have some videos about that. I'll probably make more. Take out a stack of index cards and I'll be like, I'm closing some tabs, however many cards I have in my hand, right? 10 cards. I'm closing some tabs. And whatever's on this tab, whatever my brain was trying to do with that tab, I'm going to write it down on this index card. And now it lives physically on my desktop, on my real, like desktop, not my computer desktop, and I'll get back to it. And if it's important, I'll get back to it. But like, I can't just be using all this, even like the computer bandwidth of having 40 tabs open, like, you join a video call and now it's slow because you have 40 tabs open, lady. Like I'm telling myself this. So I realized like, okay, I really need to be better about like letting some things go as far as the tabs are. But so with introducing back in more use of my index cards, more use of mind maps, and recently, and I started this for work, but I use it in my personal life too. I bought a pack of notebook paper and some notebooks, like some 3-ring binders, and I've started writing things out long form again, like really writing out a sentence. And sometimes I'll use a pencil, right? Remember pencils? Sometimes I'll use a pencil, and I mean, like, the physical feedback of a pencil is just so satisfying. The sound of it, everything. So I'll use a pencil and notebook paper, and I'll literally write out long form, like the plan for the day, the strategy for some project I'm working on. Like I'll literally sit there and write it out. And maybe it takes like 5 minutes tops. Like we're seriously overestimating the time it takes to write something down because your brain is not going to sit there and write down all the stuff that you would type. Your brain is going to choose like what's most important to capture, and that's what you're going to write. So I really have enjoyed this sort of like, I haven't stepped back from AI, but I've just stepped up my consciousness of like writing, like handwritten paper and pencil or paper and pen writing. And it has been a beautiful journey. And so I just really want to talk about that. So I got to doing some research. One of my favorite things to do nowadays is to use Notebook LM, which is an AI tool. And this is not sponsored or anything like that. My channel is way too small to be sponsored by anybody, but I am a fan of this. So I've been using it recently to just do research. And so I have a little presentation that we're going to go over here because I learned some things and I really wanted to talk about it. Now, before I go into that, a couple of people or one person asked some questions. They said, what made me start streaming in the first place? Okay, the thing that made me start streaming is that I truly believe that we need to be adding our voices to the world. Like whatever you think about, whatever you have opinions on, whatever you have questions on, whatever you're curious about, like your voice really matters, because if you don't say what like you represent and what you think, then like the other people who are saying stuff are not more important than you. So your voice is just missing from conversations. And also I think it's important for us to like connect with each other. And even if I don't agree with you or you don't agree with me, I think it's just important to like have a civil conversation about it. Like, you know what? I really don't like that background. I really don't like that color. And it's like, oh, really? Why? Like, just so I know, like, maybe I won't change it, but like, we're just human beings having a human experience. So, like, I like to talk to people. So that's why I started streaming to answer Black Cloak Wolf's question. What made you start streaming in the first place? And then the other thing that I don't even know what the other question was, but we're gonna move on because I'm only here for a few more minutes. All right, here's what I want to talk about. This is, like I said, it's an educating like tool. The Notebook LM is a research tool, right? And I think it's housed in Google, but I'm learning right along with you. I'm not an expert in this. I just wanted to know more about like the whatever cognitive decline I might be experiencing from using so much AI. And then I remembered about like writing down. So when I started writing more stuff down, I just started to like connect the dots. Like, okay, I wonder why this is. And that's what we're about to explore together today. And like, it's only literally going to be like 5 or 10 minutes, like, or 10 or 15 minutes. Cause yeah, we want to get back to our lives. Right. All right. Obviously you can see what I think here. The pen is mightier. I think that, yeah, like we should still use all the tools that are available to us, but there's some things that are happening that I just want to share with people. So like, it's interesting that we rely on like searches and stuff like that when our brains really need to be like offloaded. I notice sometimes that like when I have so many things in my mind, I forget like, random stuff that I really needed to remember. Like, oh, I forgot about that doctor's appointment tomorrow. Or, oh, I forgot to get this from the store. Like, not that you're going to remember everything, but the more we're using digital components to like take notes, we're not remembering those things. And our brain is not meant to. So first of all, even some people aren't even using those notes. Some people are just trying to remember stuff, and you're just going through your day, and we've told ourselves that I don't have time to write it down. You have time to write it down, because a lot of times it's only a few minutes. It probably takes around, like, the longest time it takes probably is like 10 minutes to just write yourself a list. And even that's including like the pauses of like sitting there like, okay, wait, what am I forgetting? And a lot of times I'll do this and I'll do like a brain dump, is what they call it. I like to say like a brain emptying or a brainstorm, or I use different words because people don't like the word brain dump, but I use the word brain dump too. But like, here's what I noticed. It's not just for you to remember what's on paper, but when you get it out and you wrote it down, like your mind releases it and you feel better. Like, it's called cognitive offloading, where we tend to forget stuff that we could easily look up later. But like, I notice when I'm putting like my pen, specifically my pen or my pencil to paper, not even just like taking an Apple Note or whatever, but just like actually writing it down, like there's a couple of things happening. There's the experience of writing it down and feeling the relief of it coming off my mind, knowing that like now it's physical. Because that's another thing. When you're putting it in your phone and then it's in a note on your phone, then you have to remember to go look at the note. But when I put something on an index card or I put it in a notebook, specifically on an index card, I'll just speak to that. Like, I have to do something with the index card. And it's like hard for me to like forget when it's like here in my face. It's now a physical thing. The thought is physical. So if I have like a grocery list or like something I need to look up, it's now here on a card. I can't ignore it. Like, I can ignore like, okay, swipe up, that Google Note is gone, or whatever I had open, and now I forgot again, right? And so I think it's really important for that reason to like have it, have the relief of writing it down and off your brain, but then also you're more apt to remember the thing too if you write it by hand. And this has actually been proven. I think it's on the next slide. When you get it out of your brain, it's like, then you don't have to hold on to it. And then that's like, so that's another thing. It's causing you stress. When you're holding on to it, your brain is trying to like remember stuff and do the stuff that you're doing currently. So that's a lot of times why we're so stressed out. But there's a study that was done. Students who take longhand notes, they perform significantly better on questions in tests, because when you are forced to slow down and write it down, like, you can't write as fast as you can type. So a lot of times, even when I'm typing, I'm thinking about something else. I do that all the time. Like, I think I learned that in one of my previous jobs when I was a administrative assistant, where I can hear something and just type it. And so my brain and my ear and my fingertips are doing work that my brain isn't doing. Like, I'm totally checked out over here thinking about something else, what I'm about to do later, or the 5 things I need to do when the meeting ends. And I'm totally taking great notes. This was before like Otter and other things like that. But yeah, I would just take notes, and I'm just in one ear into the computer. I'll look at my notes later and be like, oh, I didn't even realize the person said that, but I captured it, right? Because my fingers are so fast, but I wasn't actually connecting with the ideas. When you're writing it down, and specifically with pencil, I'm trying to bring pencil back. Like, you remember that song Bringing Sexy Back with Justin Timberlake? I'm trying to bring pencil back. Like, when was the last time you wrote with a pencil? I'm telling you, it's good. It's worth it. And I like to write with like the Ticonderoga pencils or like these Stadlers. My favorite though are the Palomino Blackwings. And I realize people are not trying to spend that much money on a pencil, but they are worth it. But it's just like this wonderful experience of like writing it out. You have to slow down in order to do it, and you're gonna that makes your brain work and makes your brain say, okay, we're not getting ready to write everything down like you would type everything out. We got to just distill this down. We got to figure out some sort of shorthand to like, and this thing is saying like the students taking longhand notes perform significantly better. But when you're writing something down quickly, sometimes you abbreviate, you figure out how to capture the idea at the speed that'll still allow you to continue listening. I like to record my thing and then go back and listen to it and like pause it and stuff like that and capture like the major ideas, because it's so much easier for me to speak something out than it is to like write it down initially. And so sometimes I'll just get myself primed by just like taking a quick 5-minute voice note, like, here's what I'm trying to do and here's what I'm thinking about, and da da da. And a lot of the stuff is like garbage, but then some of the stuff is good and I wanted to capture it. But it's like, if I sit down and try to write it out right away, I got to get through all of the gunk first. So sometimes it's easier for me to just like speak it out first. But even writing longhand, and I think that's something that's really lost, is like writing out full sentences. People don't write in cursive anymore. There are studies on how that is affecting us. But it's really helpful if you just sit there and write some stuff out longhand, like complete sentences, and nobody's really going to see it for real. It's for you. So it doesn't have to be like spelled perfectly. It doesn't have to be in perfect handwriting. It's just for you. And I'm telling you the benefits of it, as I've been doing this for the past probably couple of months now. I don't even know if it's been a full 2 months. I know it's been over a month, but maybe not a full 2 months. But as I've been doing it, I'm noticing that my mind is sharper. I'm noticing that like I connect dots better, and that my attention span, I think that was the other thing I was going to mention earlier. My attention span was getting shorter, having to just like go in and out of all of these tools and wanting this to be faster than that, and skipping steps and being like, oh, I'll come back for it. It's like I'll put something in an AI tool, like a prompt, and then it's taking a minute, and then I'm like, I don't have time for that. I'm gonna go over here and do this. And like that is felt like it was affecting my attention span. But like writing stuff out longhand, your attention span is going to come back, because you have to have the patience with yourself to develop your thought, to form the letters with your hand. And I mean, I'm seeing the benefits of it, but I'm just like the memory thing too. When I realized like I'm in a conversation with somebody, and what I was realizing before was that I couldn't recall the words. Now that's not happening to me anymore. As I've been having conversations recently, I can react, I can remember the words, and I'm noticing that the people that I'm talking to, they do not remember words well. And it's like they're using AI too. And they're like, the thing, you remember the person, remember when we did this thing? And they're using these words. And I'm like, this was me like a month and a half ago. Like I couldn't speak either. I'm not saying that to people for real, like, but I'm noticing it that like because it's not happening to me anymore, I that my memory is getting better and my recall for words is coming back, whereas before it wasn't there. Look, this is the this this is a slideshow that I created with Notebook LM, and I'm realizing now that there's a lot of things that I understand and I studied it. That's the reason why I did this, but I don't really want to go through all of these like terms for things like the Broca's era and talking about parts of the brain, because that's not really, I don't even know who's really interested in that. I'm just going to tell you what I learned and I'm going to sum it up in my own words. But basically there's different parts of the brain that are engaged when you're writing versus when you're typing. When you're writing, you're having to pull from three different things that are happening. Your hand is moving. You're having to reach in for the language, which is what I was telling you earlier that was not going well for me. You have to remember the language that you're using. And so that's going to help you with your cognitive function as well, or keep you from losing it. Because if you are not, sorry, what did you say? Oh, I was looking at somebody's comment. If you are not sort of connected to what you are doing, like you're this is going back to that example I was saying with the typing in a meeting. I'm not connected to what the person's saying. I'm just trying to capture the notes. But when you're writing something down, you have to be connected. You have to be connected to the language because you're trying to figure out like what word sums up all those words they just said, so I can write it down quickly and keep it moving. So your part of your brain is working on the actual writing things down legibly. Another part of your brain is trying to figure out the language and the words. And then, there's also benefits of like writing in cursive. And I didn't even know that. I did know some of this other stuff, but the recognition of the symbols and things like that, your brain is actually working like a muscle, and it's helping you with your motor skills, and it's helping you visually. That's another thing that's happening. Like, so your hand is working, your brain is working, your eyes are working, and really your brain at the backs of your eyes, it's like brain matter. So basically your eyes are two tiny little brains. It sounds so funny when I say it like that, but it is true. Like I've learned that before. But so anyway, yeah, that's what's happening. And if you're just typing, and especially now using AI, we're not even typing anymore. We're literally Googling or using AI to find the information, and then we're not going back to like even check it. So sorry, I'm just typing something out. So so yeah, that's basically what's happening there. Let's move right along here. This is basically talking about like the optimal condition for like your working memory, and there's certain things that are happening when children are writing by hand versus adults. So that's another thing that it's I'm not going to say it's a warning, but it's like if we're not teaching our children how to write by hand, we're kind of taking a step back with the work that we've done to build up the cognitive function to what our society is today. Like our brain is going to forget how to store facts if we're not using it. We're not using the function. It's like as a society, like our neural circuitry is basically going to change over time. And so we had the benefit in my era of learning cursive, of having to read things. We had to go to the library. And it's like we had to use that. And so we were exercising that function all the time. But now that we don't have to use it, I don't know that we're going to be able to keep that function. So at some point, we're not going to be able to remember facts because we're not using it. Like, think about it. If you don't use your muscles, then you get weaker. If you don't use your arm muscles, then you have limp arms or, weak arms. If you don't use your leg muscles, then you don't have strong legs. If we don't use our brains and we're not, remembering how to use our brains to like write and to store facts, like, we're not reading, we're not writing things down, we're not going to have that function forever. We're going to use it in conjunction with using AI. So I think writing by hands gives you the best of both worlds because you're writing it and you're using AI. So you're kind of like balanced. So some things you will remember, some things that you won't, but I think it's better to like do whatever you can. And then it's funny because when you're typing, the brain doesn't do anything. But when you are writing on paper, you're focused. You're in another world. And I could, listen, I can make the argument the other way too. Like I could be in a zone writing something on a laptop, but the focus is not the same. When you have like a notebook or like some cards laid out, you are one with your thoughts. There's something happening internally and there's like a deep work that you can really tap into. But it's harder to do that on a computer because we already know we have those notifications. There's other things, like we say, we got 40 tabs open. So it's more likely that you're going to be distracted. But when you have those like pen and paper or a notebook or index cards, whatever, like you're gonna be better off figuring out how to do deep work. Okay, so then the other thing that I thought was really interesting is the value of tangible things. And I always say this, the value of having things physical. When I write something on an index card, it is the first like introduction into the physical world of a thought. Right? So like, this is my thought. It used to live in my head. Now it lives on paper. And like, I'm a person of faith. So a lot of times, like if I write out a prayer or I write out something, a plan, I'll like lift it up in the sky to God, like seriously, like God, please bless these plans or please tell me if, help me prioritize or whatever. And that's another thing. That's why I've used that, use index cards in that way so I can help focus. And it's like, okay, I can only do one card at a time or sometimes two. But when you have your own handwriting too, your brain feels a sense of ownership over the notes. So it's not really like you're disconnected from, sometimes I go back and read, I think I said this already, but sometimes I'll go back and read notes that I've typed up and it just doesn't seem like me. Like I don't remember that. But whenever I look up something in a notebook that I wrote or like an old index card, which is also really funny because you're like going back to meet your former self, like, oh, I remember that year I was so into this and that, and to see like certain things happen and manifest that you wrote like years ago and you forgot that you wanted it and now you have it. But like your own handwriting, that's another thing that I think about. It's like everybody has their own handwriting and we're kind of wasting that when we're not writing things out by hand. We're kind of wasting that unique thing that we all have differently. And I know some people don't like their handwriting, but it's your handwriting. You can improve it if you want to, but like it's yours. It's your sense of ownership over what you wrote. It's personal. Your handwriting and your signature is personal and it can be related to better. When you find your own personal handwriting written, like you kind of can remember just like where you were in your mind at that point, as opposed to coming back and finding a typed document, which you probably won't. Like I look back at some of my old stuff, but like for the most part, once I type something up, it's like I don't have a reason to go back. I'm going to create something else. When I find old notebooks and old planners and stuff, it's like so fun to look back through that. So I just always, have some sort of nostalgia for that. Okay, look, last slide. I am a fan of doodling. I think it's so important for us to like express ourselves. And sometimes it's not by written words. Sometimes it's like shapes or smiley faces or sad faces or just abstract like painting or using markers or using crayons. Um, Things like that, that just kind of like little doodles, little arrows, like you see right here, little stars and hearts and, you know, just bursts and circles and, just drawing one thing and connecting it to another, just giving yourself that 5 or 10 minutes. And look, it's probably gonna, if you haven't written anything in a long time or you don't have that practice, it may not come so easily at first, but I'm telling you, give it a little time, maybe like a week, and like every day just give yourself like 5 minutes to write some stuff out, and you'll start to remember how amazing it is to like form the letters, to engage your motor skills and really be in your own mind. So, and I think it's something that we just kind of take for granted. And I had to say something because I mean, I don't know how many other people are going through this, even notice it, or are willing to admit that, like, okay, my brain is a little different since I've been using AI than it used to be. And so I'm just calling it out. I hope other people are honest about it. And look, if I'm the only one, that's fine. But if you've noticed that your brain is acting a little differently, or that you are struggling with some things, or that there are some, sort of side effects to it, to using it, it's not like you have to stop using it. It's just like, I think it's important to name it though, and to like be honest about it, because we're all using AI in some capacity, whether we know we are or not. We're just in a digital age. Like if you're ordering food, if you're doing like the people at the store are using AI, I don't know if you could really like boycott AI. But I mean, you can certainly limit your use of it. But for me, I'm going to use it. And I'm curious to know out there, if you're watching this on the replay, let me know, have you seen or sort of witnessed any changes in the people around you after using AI so much, or if you have been using it, or if you haven't been using it and people are around you that are using it, have you noticed anything different about the way that they're interacting? I'm just curious because, you know, I've already gotten vulnerable, put myself out there. So hopefully you guys will be honest with me. Anyway, thank you so much for joining this live stream. I will be back because I have so many more thoughts to share, and I really want to engage and have conversation with people. So yeah, join me in the next live stream. But thanks so much for joining. Talk to y'all later. Bye.